Hello, and welcome to an intro to Anthro with two humans. I'm human number one, John McCray.
And I'm human number two, John Lehr.
And this is the podcast where we reassess what it means to be human. And the title of this episode is, Trust Me, You'll Feel Better, A History of Medicine from Quackery to Science to Quackery Again.
Oh, all right. Good. I'm glad. I need this. My son is tested positive for COVID.
Oh, yeah.
And so, you know, we need some non-quackery.
Well, we'll have some ideas for him in this.
Okay, good.
So, John, as you know, I've been traveling over this past week.
Yes.
I was back in Kansas City.
Hometown.
Went down to Springfield, Missouri. For a funeral.
The capital of Missouri. Is that right? Is
No,
Springfield the capital?
No,
we've been through this.
Yeah.
Illinois. Springfield, Illinois is
Right.
the capital. What's the capital of Missouri?
Jefferson City.
Jefferson City.
Jeff City, right in the middle.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Jeff City.
I don't know. Springfield, I think maybe is the capital of Bass Pro Shops. I don't know what it is. There's a lot.
There was an earthquake there, wasn't there? A terrible earthquake in Springfield?
Not too long ago, I think.
Yeah.
Springfield's booming. Springfield's booming. I used to go there as a kid, and I don't remember it booming as much as it did. Gateway to Branson.
Okay,
so, and then after that, I came back and I went to our 40th high school reunion.
Wow.
Which I'm going to talk about next week when we do an episode on nostalgia, and I want to go into it.
Yes.
But
I couldn't make it. I had a gig at the last minute. I was planning on going.
I know.
But I had a job. I had to gotta work.
I know.
I was in San Diego. I drove out to San Diego, performed, and then drove back the same night.
Oh.
Because I was so tired.
I'm
still
haul.
Tired.
How long does it take to drive to San Diego now?
It depends. But oddly, the drive home on a Saturday night wasn't bad.
Really?
Yeah, it was like a little over 2 hours, maybe just under 2 hours.
Yeah. That's still
but
a
the
lot.
way there was like almost 3 hours. Because San Diego and LA are basically one city now. They're all one city.
When I first moved out there, it felt like they were two cities. Like you could still reach a point. Yeah. It was brief. It was only about 10 or 15 minutes where there was there was nothing between them, but now it's all
one. There even where the military base is, there's still some development out there.
Oh, really?
So yeah. So it's all one megatropolis.
That used to be out the military base. Camp Pendleton used to be out in the middle of nowhere, and now it's like right in the middle of a suburb.
Everything. Yeah, that's primo property now.
I know. I heard that people complain about all the helicopter noise. It's like, well, they've been there since 80 years or something. You guys have just moved in there, but anyway, I'll preface. I had a great time, and it really reminded me of how lucky we were with the friends that we had in high school, that they were all so funny, and they're still so funny. Still so funny.
Kansans are funny. People don't know that, but Kansans are people, they like to laugh. I don't know why that is, but it's true. Now, did you meet any old flames?
No old flames, but not one. Jesus. I met a lot of people, and I'll go into it more because it did bring up a lot of nostalgia, but great nostalgia.
Oh, that's great.
But people I've known since fourth grade, all the way through grade school, junior high, high school.
Longer than you've known me.
I know. It's some of them even into college, but still, the Minowies, it's still hilarious, still funny. Yeah. And it was just really a nice time. So I'll go into it more later.
Excellent. Yeah.
But one of the things, traveling around, and everybody asks about you, and so.
And what did you say? Bad stuff?
Well, it always the question on everybody's mind was, what's going on with Lehr's colonoscopy? And everybody was concerned about why you had to have another colonoscopy?
I don't know. Nobody knows. Nobody's telling me anything. Maybe I've got cancer. I don't know. I don't think so, though. I feel like that would have leaked out.
Yeah.
No, I think the reason I had to, as I said before, the reason I had one,
right,
and then they scheduled another a month later because they couldn't. I don't know how to put this.
I tried to explain it to people. I
wasn't clean enough,
right?
Apparently, and so I did the second one.
Yeah,
and again, they want me to come back in 3 years.
No.
Yes. I'm like getting colonoscopies, like it's like I'm getting my dental checkup.
Yeah, every year you go.
It's crazy.
I had to explain to people, at the reunion, it came up, and so I would have to explain to people, no, it's a tomato skin and some potato that he didn't get it out. And it's blocking the camera view. I tried to explain it, like it was like a spider building a web over a security camera or something.
Oh my God. Oh, gross. Oh.
And they were all very concerned. People wanted to know if they should start a GoFundMe for your colon.
No, I have good insurance. So that's all taken care of. But thank you for the concern.
Yeah,
there's more concern for my high school friends than my own family. They're all like, "What? Oh yeah, I didn't even remember you got it."
Well,
Nobody
it came
cares.
up. Somebody was like, we suggested maybe the fecal transplant. We and it went around. People were concerned that we talked about maybe having donors, trying to find a suitable donor for a fecal transplant.
God. What is wrong with you people?
To get you back to,
I don't know. That's a very intimate thing. Whose poo would you let be put inside you?
Right.
Right. It's like It's like the starter dough for a good sourdough bread.
It's true.
That's down. You want to get the good stuff.
Right. And for those of you who don't know, fecal microbiota transplantation, or FMT, a stool transplant. John Hopkins' website says it's a procedure to collect feces, also called stool or poop. Like poop has become an acceptable term for it.
Really?
Yeah.
That's funny.
This is Johns Hopkins. Stool or poop from a healthy donor and introduce them into a patient's gastrointestinal tract, and it can control an infection called Clostridium difficile, which is C. diff, by adding healthy bacteria into the recipient's intestine.
There's got to be another way. There's got to be. We can put a man on the moon.
Right.
We can create AI.
Yeah.
There's got to be a way other than just somebody else's poop. And how do you get it in there? Do they open you up and you just eat it, right? I mean,
no. Why
do you need to
go in through the rectum? Just go in through the rectum.
But why? Why not just put it inside a time-release capsule and take it? I mean, it's going down there.
I don't know, but you would maybe pass it. They got to get it in there. And I think they add it to saline liquid, and then like it has to be inserted in there. They put it in with a colonoscope, and then as they're pulling it out, they leave it there.
I don't buy that. I think you wrap it in grape leaves and just eat it like
like hummus. You just eat it like hummus.
Dip it in hummus. Everything's good in hummus.
I did read on one of the sites, they were talking about sometimes they have to go in through your nose to do it, which sounds awful. Sounds awful. But
God, what have we invented? Just let me die.
but I'm like, this is the
Wait, they take poo through your nose?
Yeah.
Nose? Why there?
Not all the time. Usually they'll go in through the rectum. I mean, it's like, if you own a restaurant and you have an exterminator, you don't want them walking through the front of the restaurant. You want them coming in the back door.
Good point. Good point. Why can't they just drill a hole in my tummy and put it down in there?
Maybe.
Like a you know how you'd make those spit wads with straws? Just get it down in there.
But like you say, John, this is this is the wondrous time we live in that
God.
we can cure C. diff, and colitis by transplanting poo from one person into another.
It's a running theme in our show that our big brains have created bigger problems than the problems the big brain tried to solve.
Right. And this one's like, I mean, for millions of years, nobody thought of this solution. That somebody was in the right place at the right time. It was like, hey, what if I
got an idea?
what if we just get poo from one person, put it in another person? Which makes me look forward to what we'll do with earwax and and boogers in the future. Like you could transplant those.
Jesus.
But anyway, a lot of people.
If you ever need Sean, if you ever need my poop, I'm happy to donate it.
Thank you very much.
You're a good friend, and yeah.
Well, that's the way it was at the reunion. People were lining up. People were like ready when they found out you were having colon trouble. They were like, "Lehr's in trouble," and like a lot of people wanted to donate right then. You
bring back a bunch of freezer bags.
Well, I told him to. I was like, "No, calm down. Just send it out to him. But they were like, that's what our friends will, it's like building a barn when they find out that you're having a colon problem.
That's so sweet. Everybody grabs their hammer and starts running.
So anyway, I also, all of this talk about colons and your problems over the last few months made me think about an experience I had when I was in Venice, living in Venice. And as you know, when I first moved out to Venice, I was living with you. You were living in Venice.
Yes, absolutely.
And
those were good times. I loved it when you lived with me. We're such good roommates.
Yeah, we really are. Very clean.
Very clean. We pay our bills on time. Respectful.
Yeah, you don't have to ask. You don't have to ask for the check every month, But then, when I first moved out, I was staying with you before I went to write for VH1, and you were on the canals in Venice. Venice has canals.
Yes. Which are kind of nasty, the canals. Don't you think?
I think they're trying to clean them up. But they started out, Venice Beach, California started out as a replica of Venice, Italy. And so in the 20s, they had the
tourist
canals.
Spot, right?
Yeah.
In the 20s, wow.
Yeah, and then we moved. Remember, somebody bought that house in Venice, and then we had to move to another house in Venice,
which wasn't quite, definitely a step down.
Yeah. I was living in your garage.
That's right. That's right. I forgot that.
Yeah.
You kind of liked it out there. You made it work.
I made it work. It was tough. It was like a little room off the garage. And I think that may have been the end of my first marriage, the beginning of the end, when she came out and saw me living in that garage. she was like, this isn't.
What are you doing?
Yeah. What are
this
you?
This isn't going to work.
Yeah.
This isn't the way I want to live my life.
So, but the thing I loved, and then you moved out, and I stayed in Venice. I stayed in Venice for 13 years after that.
Yeah, you loved it out there because you love the ocean. If you're an ocean person, you're just an ocean person. That's the way it is.
And Venice is kind of unusual because it's the last stop for a lot of people in America, like for people who are trying to find themselves.
Yeah, you got that right.
And
it is the end of the line.
Right. And you'll see everybody at some point will end up in Venice Beach searching for an answer, for a purpose in life. And you'll see everybody from like rich people, like Dennis Hopper was living out there at the time. Angelica Houston, remember, lived right in there.
Yes, it was close to us, right? At one point.
Right. And in compounds, like you rarely see them out and around. They were in compounds.
Yeah.
But there were also hippies and surfers and skateboarders. There was also a large, back in the 50s and 60s, there was an African-American community based in Venice after World War II.
Is that it? Oakwood? Was that the name of that neighborhood?
Yeah.
Anyway.
And also a large Hispanic population there too.
And weightlifters. A lot of weightlifters.
Yeah. Down on the beach. Muscle Beach, they would be down there too.
Venice is an amazing place. It really is. Not for the faint of heart.
Right. It was tough, and it was still a little rough when we were living there, but it was still affordable.
Oh yeah.
Like, I was paying $800 for a 2-bedroom, 2-story townhouse 5 minutes from the beach.
And it was a nice place.
Yeah.
I like that place.
You still heard gunshots. Yeah, you still heard gunshots for $800.
Yeah, you're not going to miss out. The gunshots are everywhere. Helicopters.
Yeah.
There's people complaining about helicopters in Pendleton. Don't even know.
I know. I took my mom down. She was visiting from Kansas City one time, and we went down to the beach, and there was like a riot down there. My mom's like,
well, when the sun goes down, get out. Go home.
Yeah.
Because then Venice turns on itself.
Oh, yeah.
And when the sun goes down, it gets really... Yeah.
But there were also a lot of massage therapists and people selling crystals and homeopathic medicine at that time.
Yep.
And in the place I live...
was pre-weed legalization.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't think I could even live... I couldn't afford to live in Venice anymore.
Oh no. And it's changed. The weed has changed everything.
Really?
When we were there, half of everybody was stoned, 50%. Yeah. Now it's 100%. Everybody's just stoned all the time.
Wow.
On really high grade weed.
Yeah.
So it's
just a bunch of rich people that can afford the rent and
yeah. And then homeless people walking around smoking weed. That's basically the place. Yeah.
We were finally, it was rent controlled. So they had to buy us out of that place. I
remember that.
Yeah.
That was nice.
But I had a neighbor at that time. He was actually a boyfriend of a neighbor I had who, and I'd see him every once in a while. When I go outside, they'd always be out there smoking weed or smoking cigarettes, getting drunk and fighting with each other, a man and woman.
Sure.
But he sold a detoxifying colon cleanse. That was his job. That was his job. God.
Wait a minute. Is this going to end with you giving it to me? Because I'm not doing it.
No. I'll get to it though. I'm setting up a dichotomy here. It's an analogy
Gotcha.
And so anyway, one time he gave me the course as a free sample just for me to try it out.
Oh, God.
And he did this thing that all people who are into holistic medicine do. He's like, look, I know this sounds like bullshit, but it really works. And trust me, you'll feel better. You know what I mean? That's what they all say.
Yep. That's what they all say. It works.
Yeah. I know it doesn't sound like it will, but I don't know how it does, but it does.
Right. That's when you know it's never going to work. When they say that, you know it's not going to work.
When you have to tell people that multiple times before they do it.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this week, but since I quit drinking and doing drugs, I'm kind of I'll put myself through that stuff. You know what I mean?
Oh, really? I didn't know this about you.
Yeah. I'll try to do the cleanses. Or just cut things out of my diet, like sugar. I cut out sugar one time.
That was a failure.
Yeah.
That was terrible. It was hard to be around you with no sugar.
But it's like you like to see what your body will do. That same thing that told me smoke a bunch of cigarettes, see what happens. Now it's like cut out sugar, cut out caffeine. The people at work one time in LA when kombucha first came out, they were like, McCray, try kombucha for a month and see how you feel. And so every day I would drink only kombucha at work so that they could see me doing it. And after the month, didn't feel any different. My cubicle smelled terrible, though. It smelled like an open jar of kimchi at all times.
Why? Your sweat? Where did the smell come from?
I think it was just me. The ventilation wasn't good, and just me drinking several bottles of kombucha every day was just.
I don't like the kombucha. It reminds me of alcohol. It gives me a little bit of an alcohol hit.
Yeah, the fermentation on it, or yeah. And I've also, sometimes I would go through periods where I get into Chinese medicine. Do you ever get into Chinese medicine?
No, not really.
I even volunteered. There was a Chinese medicine school in Santa Monica, and I volunteered over there just to go check it out because I thought that would be something I'd enjoy doing with my life at one point. And of course they took me on because it was volunteer. They didn't have to pay me or anything. So, but all they did, they had me stuffing envelopes for 3 days.
Oh, that the whole time?
Yeah. Just like,
God damn it. Yeah. You're not going to be able to massage a foot and find the liver. You know what I mean?
Right.
We're just going to have you lick envelopes.
Yeah. And I thought I'd be, like crushing up herbs or something. They put me back there with like unicorn and corn
like
or something.
A wax on, wax off thing. You do the envelopes for like 6 months and then it turns out, oh
no, that's what it probably was. I quit too soon. Yeah. Like we're teaching your taste buds to know what it is, but tasting urine or something when you do it. But I'd be like with Mr. Miyagi. I'd be like the second day of doing wax on the wax. I'd be like, fuck it.
Yeah. My dad made me do this growing. I'm not doing that stuff.
Yeah, the hell with this thing. I want to learn how to.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I took this guy's colon cleanse that he gave me, and it was one. There's a lot of these that you'll see where people package different companies. They'll do it for, I don't know, like detox or hangover cures, different things that you can buy. And after a week and a half of taking this thing of this guy,
oh boy,
I dropped.
I can tell by the tone of your voice.
Yeah.
This doesn't end well.
Yeah. A beautiful, pristine white turd.
White?
Yeah. It was like ivory. Ivory color.
Ivory?
Yeah. It looked like a piece of walrus tusk.
Holy crap. What the hell?
It was just missing like an etching on it, of like a whaling schooner or something. But
oh my God, white?
Yeah,
white?
Yeah,
that's so wrong.
That's what I thought. But I was like, well, maybe this is what he was talking about. This is like cleaning out all my toxins, but my spiritual toxins. You know what I mean? Maybe this was like
maybe you pooped out a tapeworm.
I don't know. I thought it was like. It was very shocking, and I thought maybe it was, like a curandera will like rub an egg on you to get the curse out of your body. And I was like, this was showing that I had been purified. You know what I mean? When you drop a white turd.
This was pre-iPhone, so you couldn't take a picture.
Right. I didn't even have a cell phone at that time, I don't think.
You should have gone out immediately before you flushed and gotten one of those disposable cameras and come back and shot the entire roll.
Yeah. It was where I wasn't going to fish it out. I mean, even if it was some sort of spiritual litmus test, I wasn't going to fish that thing out of there.
You should have called me. I would have jogged down to the Rite Aid.
Well, I know, it also reminded me there's certain Native American religions, like the white buffalo is the sign of a new era is coming,
Right. Right.
So I went out and when I saw him the next time, because he was always out there smoking and drinking. So I went out and I told him, I kind of nodded knowingly at him. And he's like, hey, how's it going, man? And I was like, I got it. He's like, what? I go, the white turd. I dropped the white turd. And he didn't respond. Like he was like, there was like nothing. He seemed a little uncomfortable when I talked about it. I was expecting him to be like knowingly nod his head like, yeah.
Yeah, like, okay.
Yeah.
Now
you can go on to level 2,
Right.
And he avoided me for a while after that.
And you never found out why?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it disturbed him as well that there was a white turd, and I was so excited about it.
Nothing white should come out of your poop.
And it reminded me of, again, with a lot of these holistic things, you'll hear people get really into it and really talk about it. And then after a few months, you'll bring it up again. They're like, oh, yeah, I'm not doing that anymore.
Right. That is the classic thing. It's always on to the next thing that, hey, you're not going to believe this. You're going to think it doesn't work, but it does, which means it doesn't.
Yeah. And then you don't hear about whatever they're taking or whatever they're doing, whatever cleanse it is. and be like, "Hey, you were. I was thinking about." Oh no, I don't do that. Don't do that. I don't do that.
I had a white turd.
The coming of a new age. A new age. It's been birthed in Venice, California.
Oh my God, that's so scary. A white turd. I don't like it.
Beautiful. God. Beautiful. It was shocking to look down in there. I had to.
I bet. Was it like shiny, like ceramic?
No, like I say, like a walrus tusk. Like a piece of ivory. Elephant.
So smooth, uniform.
Yeah, perfect.
Jesus, kind of like a worm or something.
Yeah, it was.
I'm sticking with the tapeworm theory.
Okay, all right. It was shocking. I'll say it was shocking, but then anyway. But all this talk about colons, John, got me thinking about our health and the fragility of life.
Yes.
Which then got me thinking about medicine and what people have done to maintain their health over the last thousands of years.
Yes.
Which then led me to quackery and how easy it is for us to go down the quackery path.
Absolutely. Especially now with Google.
Right. And I'm not talking about just the white turd. I'm talking about, remember during COVID, I mean, the COVID is still there, but remember when COVID first came out, it was people were taking hydrochloroxine, which is an anti-malarial drug.
Right. Trump thought it worked.
Right.
Still does.
Right. And then there was ivermectin. Remember people were taking the dewormer, the horse dewormer.
Right. And people would even break into veterinarian clinics to get it and stuff.
Yeah. And then I think Trump even mentioned about maybe household bleaches. Remember people were ingesting household bleaches and disinfectants as well.
Well, a spoonful of bleach actually good for the body.
Oh, no, don't say that. Don't say that. Edit that out. Edit that out. But it just shows you that in times of crises, it's funny how we fall back on these miraculous cures.
Yeah.
Instead of normal scientific medicine, I think is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And usually we'll go back to some, people will say it's an ancient remedy. It's been around for 7,000 years. The ancients used it.
I know. That's the big argument, is that it's been around forever. But we don't use. Why is it that it's been around forever, but we don't do it anymore?
I know. And 7,000 years ago, people only lived to 25 years old. You know what I mean?
Right. I'm telling you, early man ate a rock every day, right after breakfast.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the thing with these two examples, like the fecal transplant and the extreme colon cleanse, are two examples of what medicine is now. And and if you were to ask me 30 years ago which one I thought was quackery, I think I would have said taking the poop out of one person and putting the poop in somebody else.
Yeah, it sounds just crazy. It's insanity.
Right. It doesn't seem like there's substance to that. And I would say cleaning out your colon with a powder or something is probably more scientific.
Yeah. But it turns out.
Yeah.
No.
And it shows you how that changes, how the lines of quackery and real medicine get blurred, I think.
Absolutely.
And in the book, Strange Medicine, A Shocking History of Real Medical Practices Through the Ages, Nathan Belofsky says, from the ancient Greeks until the time of Lincoln, medicine did more harm than good and hurt more than helped. And Belofsky quotes historian David Wooten, who wrote, quote, for 2,400 years, patients have believed that doctors were doing good. From 2,300 years, or for 2,300 years, they were wrong.
Wow. Wow.
And Roy Porter in the Cambridge History of Medicine says that from the ancient Greeks to the First World War, medicine's job was simple: to struggle with lethal diseases and gross disabilities, to ensure live births, and to manage pain.
Yeah.
And that's basically what they did. And really, it was like you didn't see a doctor until you were, had a broken arm or you were giving birth, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in her article, Paleomedicine in the Evolutionary Context of Medicinal Plant Use, Karen Hardy says that modern human need for medicines is so extensive that it is thought to be a deep evolutionary behavior. And she says there is abundant evidence from our Paleolithic and later prehistoric past of survival after periodontal disease, traumas, and invasive medical treatments. And it seems like, every time you go, or I go to my dentist, she always talks about like, oh, you got to watch out for periodontal disease that can lead to heart disease or cancers or everything. And apparently that's what Hardy is talking about in there, where it's periodontal disease probably caused a lot of deaths of people prehistorically.
Wow.
And she says that, that these include like dental issues, abscesses, but people also had blunt force injuries and bone fractures, head injuries.
Yeah, hell yes.
And she says the earliest archaeological evidence for long-term survival of a visibly non-optimum individual, which that sounds like they would like describe us, a visually non-optimum.
I was about to say, that sounds like me. Visually non-optimum.
But she says that was from Dmanisi, Georgia, the country, and this individual was a Homo erectus who lived 1.7 million years ago. Jesus. And he had survived years having suffered periodontal disease and lost all of his teeth.
Oh. God. Why? Oh.
As if it wasn't hard enough back then to have no teeth and trying to nibble on.
Now you gotta get somebody else to chew it for you. Jesus. Oh, man.
Would you do that for me? Would you use it?
Yeah, I'd chew stuff for you. Spit it into a cup. Yeah, I'd do it.
No, I want it like a bird. Just like when I come visit me and they're like, hey, I brought you some barbecue. Like, can you?
Oh, God.
Hardy also notes that there was a Homo habilis from 2.4 to 1.6 million years ago, and they found in Homo habilis that there's lots of deep scratches in their teeth. So they think that was evidence of tooth picking, like they were using sticks to like try to clean out their teeth and try to do something about their
shit
tooth abscesses.
Oh, they did it too hard.
Yeah.
Ease up. Soft brush. Yeah. Circular motion.
It took us millions of years to figure that out, to use a brush instead of like a stick. And they've also found like non-edible wood fragments in like the dental calculus of Paleolithic individuals. So you'll see it in their teeth and gums. They'll find like pieces of wood.
Why? They were just from the sticks trying to use the sticks.
Yeah.
Jesus. Because they must get so much tartar on their teeth that they would just scrape it off.
But at least they knew that it needed to come off. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's what amazes me about the whole thing. And then Hardy notes like surgical procedures from which there's evidence that people recovered were amputations and trepanation. Yeah. And you know what trepanation is? When you dig or you make a hole in somebody's skull while they're alive. And so people thought that maybe it was to release pressure on the brain after a head injury, or sometimes people thought that it was to like for mental illness, it was to release an evil spirit out of the person.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I'm just trying to think of how hard that would be with a stone utensil. Somebody sawing through your skull as you were alive.
5 people are holding you down.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. And the earliest known healed trepanation was found on a 50-year-old male from a site in Ukraine, which dates to the Mesolithic period, about 8,000 to 7,600 years ago.
Heal?
Yeah, it healed. Yeah, like he survived.
Healed.
Healed.
Oh, okay. I thought they were digging a hole in his heel.
No.
That's where I was going. Healed. Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
And Hardy says that altogether there's approximately 1,500 examples of trepanation in prehistoric archaeological record. Mostly, a lot of them are coming from South America. Yeah.
Well, yeah, one person does it, and then it spreads. Hey, you're going to not believe this. You're not going to believe that it works.
Just trust me, you'll feel better.
Trust me, you'll feel better. I know it doesn't sound like it.
And then the oldest known example of somebody who survived an amputation of the arm was in discovered in France from a Neolithic site from about 7,000 years ago.
How did they know it was cut off? I guess it had cut marks, huh?
Yeah, I guess so. But...
I mean, what if a saber-tooth just bit it off?
a clean bite.
Yeah.
I would think you'd have. I don't think it's going to be like a real precise cut. Knowing the tools, since we made our tools, like what people were using to cut through that.
Jesus. Oh God.
And then when we did our episode on Otzi, remember we talked about Otzi.
Yes.
And he had like healed broken ribs, but they also found things like fern and mosses on his body, and fungi. And so they think that he was using those. And then he had those tattoos that they think were being used as medicinal acupuncture points as well. And usually you go back 1200 BC in India, there's the Atharvaveda, which is an Indian text, medicinal text written 1200 BC. Chinese medicine goes back, they think, to around 4,500 years ago. And then in Japan, there's a 30-volume medicinal text from 984 of the Common Era called the Ishimpo.
Even to just writing those books, that's a lot of volumes.
I know.
God.
I know. And it was, so people have definitely been thinking about medicine for at least 10,000 years, I would think. Or in the, probably 10,000 years, I would think people were using something, sticks, just to scrub their teeth with.
God.
And then Vivian Nutton, in an essay called The Rise of Medicine, says Nutton, N-U-T-T-O-N. Nutton.
Boy, yeah, they made fun of her. But she showed him.
Yeah, with The Rise of Medicine, she says, in ancient Greece, Asclepius, Asclepius, was seen as one of the founders of modern medicine. And Chiron was a centaur, half man, half horse, was the creator of pharmacology.
What? Okay. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
So some guy who's half man, half horse created pharmacology.
That's what. And the thing is,
imagine getting your prescription filled. What's your birthday?
Clip clop, clip clop, clip clop,
clip clop, clip clop.
I need to pick up a prescription for McCray. Just hang on a second. What's your birthday? Clip clop, clip clop, clip clop. I'm trying to work the keyboard with that.
Right. You have to click decline. Decline.
Do you have your insurance with your insurance? Clip clop, clip clop, clip clop, clip clop, clip clop, clip. But Chiron was supposed to be in an article called the Myth of Chiron, the Wounded Healer. Neil Burton says that Chiron was the illegitimate son of Kronos, who we've talked about before. And Kronos apparently had sex with Chiron's mother, who was a human. And then when he was born, he was half horse, half human. Chiron was, and so he was abandoned. He was raised by Apollo, and Chiron apparently exceed. Whereas most centaurs are thought to be like lascivious, and they're given all the. He was supposed to be.
Got that right. We went to high school with a few of them.
Yeah. The centaurs.
The centaurs. Any of those at the reunion?
I don't know. I'll have to think back if I saw. I'm sure they were there. Clip clop, clip clop, clip clop. Out on the dance floor.
Hey, John. We were in science together. Clip clop, clip clop.
And Chiron, though, he's supposed to be. They always talked about. It's kind of. They kind of phrase it like, well, for a centaur, he was always he was really, really civilized and educated. And
he was the nerd of centaurs.
Right. And he was supposed to have created pharmacy, medicine, and surgery.
Oh, well, of course he's going to be made fun of. Yeah. All the other centaurs are like having sex and, and he's over there.
Studying. I can't come out.
I can't. No, just hand me that beaker.
and Chiron apparently means hand, or comes from hand. The Greek word khyr, Kheir, which means hand, and that's related to our word surgeon, which is khyr ergon in Greek, which means hand worker. That's where we get the word surgeon.
That's what we should call surgeons and doctors.
Hand worker.
Because, so much of it, let's be honest, so much of it is just keeping stuff clean.
Yeah.
You're hand like washer. A janitor.
You should just call them hand washers.
Yeah. I know it's hard to do, but so much of what they're doing is just wash the hands, clean this, make sure that's clean, clean.
Yeah. Do you do the hand wash like that? Did you ever do that?
Never. I'm going to do that. No. That's on my bucket list.
Wash your hands like a surgeon.
Yeah, I have a low bar.
In the ancient world, they say that usually diseases were attributed to the gods or spirits. Like the god was mad. And usually you were going to die when that happened.
Right.
And Nutton says that what they would do is people would go to a shrine to Asclepius, who is the founder of the god of medicine, and you'd stay overnight. You'd spend the night in there.
Jesus, that's spooky.
Yeah, and then you'd hope that you received a dream from Asclepius, telling you how you should be healed.
Well, you sleep on a rock foundation, and you're fitful sleep. You're going to have some weird dreams.
I know.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you would hopefully, if Asclepius visited you in a dream, that you would tell the doctor that, and then the doctor.
Oh shit. He what?
Okay.
He carried me around. Oh no. Uh-oh. Wait. No, I feel better.
Asclepius, right? Asclepius.
Yeah. Yeah. It was definitely him.
And then they say that most of the what the doctors practiced back then were dietetics, which means that regulating the whole lifestyle. So they try to tell you, like, if you go in and be like, I got diarrhea, be like, well, how much sleep are you getting, or what,
Yeah. Well, they still do that. That's all my guys do. So what are you doing wrong? I'm doing something wrong that's causing the pain in my body.
Yeah.
I'm eating something or doing. Okay, what are you doing?
It's really shocking out here. I don't know. New Mexico. I love New Mexico, but there's first of all, there's not enough doctors, and then maybe it's the same everywhere. But it's also like you don't know. I don't know. We went to Mary had a bump on her eye, and we went to an eye doctor, an eye specialist here. And when he looked at it, he was like, "Oh my god!" So he went and got other eye doctors who came out and got their phones out and took a picture of it.
My god!
Yeah, but nobody knew what it was. They were like, "It's okay if we take a photo of it."
How was Mary just freaked out?
Yeah.
She must have been. Oh my god!
It finally just went away on its own, but nobody could ever tell us what it was or. It was on the white of the eye, but they all wanted a photo of it.
I know what it was. It was an evil spirit.
Yeah.
Just like that white worm that came out your ass.
Yeah. She needs to go sleep in a shrine somewhere. But it was like them getting selfies with it. You know what I mean? Like, hey, wait, gotta get my picture taken with that thing.
What's wrong with those people? The people who choose to be doctors, I am sorry. Most of you are so weird.
Yeah.
Why? Why are they all so weird?
Yeah, I don't know. It's
I guess the skills that are needed to memorize all that stuff and learn all those names. It's a different personality type, you know?
Yeah. Have you noticed a lot of the doctors I know were heavy smokers and smoked a lot of weed as well.
Yep. Yeah. I have a friend who's a proctologist, and I'm always asking, what's the weirdest stuff you found shoved up somebody's ass? And he's like, well, I'll tell you the thing that's most often is shampoo bottles.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
And because they always, he says they always say the same thing. Doc, you're not going to believe it, but I slipped.
Oh, no.
He's like, yeah.
Yeah.
But he said a table leg. He had a table leg that was half in, half out. Mm-hmm.
Jesus.
And the sphincter had just kind of come over one part of it and just locked down.
No, it's awful.
But, you shouldn't be surprised.
You slip.
If I was a sphincter, I would lock down too. What are you doing shoving this up me? You can't expect a sphincter just to open up and allow you to stick a table leg inside you.
What was the excuse with the table leg? Like, I was sanding it and I had shorts on.
You're not going to believe it.
I was refinishing it.
I was having sex and I don't know. We were high on meth. I don't know.
Just be honest.
It seemed like a good idea at the time.
Nothing that says that Christians in 313 AD onwards, they began to expound the healing miracles in the Gospels.
Yeah.
And so that's when you started to have this idea of the power of faith to cure disease.
Yes.
And so from about 370 onwards, she said that there were shrines of saints and martyrs became places where sick people would go visit. And slowly
it makes as much sense as taking, this medicine that wasn't working.
Yeah. Yeah.
What else you got?
Yeah.
Suicide.
I don't know about that.
But I would just get a hold of some, anything to take away the pain.
Yeah. I don't know what you would do. Just drink back in those days, I guess.
Yeah.
Before.
I would just drink heavily. Heavily.
Yeah.
Get that poppy. Get those poppies.
Yeah. In some places you would have poppies, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Damn. And then she says that ultimately the shrines to Christian saints and martyrs began to replace the pagan temples to Asclepius. So that's where it just kind of transferred on to how people used to, pagans used to go to Asclepius, then they went to the martyrs.
Always the new thing.
Yeah.
You've tried that colon cleanser, but if you tried this one, you'll shit a white turd.
Yeah. Exactly.
What?
Trust me. You'll
and
feel
that's
better.
A good thing? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. What do you think?
Remember when you were out here, we went to the sanctuary at Chimayo where they had the holy dirt. Remember?
Yes.
And that's where
I do.
We saw people who were in there getting holy dirts and
for
miraculous cure. And there were all those crutches.
That was so cool.
Yeah.
That was so cool.
That's a magical place. And there were those crutches up there on there where people were, they said that people had left their crutches after they had
left their crutches. They rubbed the dirt on them and had walked away.
And then Edwin Shorter, in an essay titled Primary Care, said that before the 20th century, infectious diseases dominated all other diseases: tuberculosis, syphilis, diphtheria, plague, meningitis, malaria, and postpartum sepsis. So
you cut yourself and you're going to die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that they did at that time, Shorter says, was they believed in the humors. meaning that all the
Right.
fluids in your body, like the imbalance, that disease was caused by an imbalance of fluids or humors.
Yeah. But I mean, New Age people still say that, your imbalance here, it's not, you don't use the word humors, but it's all about we're out of balance. We need to be in balance.
Right. The chakras are chakras
Yes.
as well. And to do that, to get them back into, like, if your black bile, yellow bile, phlegm, or blood were out of balance, then they did the bloodletting, for example.
God. Well, how would they get the biles in the first place? How would they look at them?
I guess people spitting up or something, maybe, or
oh my God,
you'd spit into a
God knows
bowl.
what they did. Yeah. Oh.
And Belofsky quotes Henri de Monville, who was a surgeon back in the day. Yeah. And he said, "It is dangerous for a surgeon to spare his patient anything, even on the occasions when one can dress the wound gently. All ordinary, uneducated people distrust and mock surgeons who work gently. They say they are timid, weak, and inexperienced."
Oh my God. Not me. I'll go to that guy.
I know. So back in the day, in the 1700s and 1800s, you wanted a doctor who just seemed like he had seen it all and just didn't want to be looking at you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And be rough with you, because pain was different too.
Yeah.
Pain was a part of your day-to-day life. It wasn't, you were never really pain-free.
Right.
Right. Yeah, Jesus.
And you just wanted a doctor
If it hurt, it means he's doing something right.
Right, he's getting the pain out or whatever it is.
Oh, man.
So how did we get to quackery? And from all of that, Elizabeth Berry Drago says that in her article, Quacks, Plagues, and Pandemics, that the word quack actually comes from a Dutch word, quacksalver, who was a seller of nostrums, nostrums, which are medical cures of secretive origins.
So it doesn't come from a duck? It has nothing to do with a duck.
No, well, what they think is it actually comes from quacksalver.
Right.
But then what they would do is they'd sell these things out in the marketplace. And so some people have said, well, it also goes back to them yelling out in the marketplace, sounding like a gaggle of ducks out there. But really it comes from quacksalver, which is a Dutch word for these people who sell these kind of secretive medicines.
Yeah.
And Lydia Kang and Nate Peterson, in their book Quackery, A Brief History of the Worst Ways to Cure Everything, say that quackery isn't always about pure deception. And they say that though the term is usually defined as the practice and promotion of intentionally fraudulent medical treatments, it also includes situations where people are touting what they truly believe works.
Right.
Yeah. And that's
the real danger, because then you see the truth in them. Oh, they really believe this.
Yeah. And then are they guilty? Man. Are they guilty if they really believe it and are trying to prescribe that to you? Or is it, if their belief is that they're trying to help
consciousness of guilt.
Right. And Drago says that quacks during this time were unregulated practitioners, many of whom were too uneducated to enter physicians' guilds or too low-born to become welcomed by medical colleges. And so then what they would do is that they'd all call each other quacks. Like if you wanted to disparage somebody else, you'd say, "Oh, that guy's a quack." That guy's a quack. And then over
these were all people who couldn't get into medical school, right? They're for whatever reason.
Right. And then what was interesting, I came across in Venice, Italy, was one of the first European cities to come up with like a health office during the plague to try to see where the plague was coming from. And
is that where it was discovered?
Well, no, they were trying to track it down to what part of the city it was originating in.
Gotcha.
But it was one of the first times that there was a public health office to monitor all that stuff. In our term, Drago says, our term quarantine actually comes from the Italian term 40 giorni, which means 40 days. And that was the length of time that plague cases were quarantined on the island of Lazzaretto Vecchio in Venice. So it was,
and then they're allowed to come back?
And then come in, yeah, if they survive. I mean, chances are they wouldn't survive that long.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
It was fleas. Fleas on a rat.
I know.
So weird.
And then Drago says that, most unscrupulous quacks prey on the most marginalized people. So it was usually people who couldn't afford to have... I don't know if a regular doctor would be that much better coming in and bleeding you and everything.
Right.
But the idea was if you were poor, you would probably go to a quack, or one of these people who was coming up with...
Yeah, exactly.
And then, Drago says that probably even now, poverty is one of the reasons that a lot of people, even nowadays, turn to quack medicine again.
Absolutely. Yeah. That makes total sense. You're broke, you're desperate, you know.
Yeah. And in the article, Medical Quackery, the Pseudoscience of Health and Well-Being, Adye Kao says, in 1775 in America, of the more than 3,000 individuals who claimed the title of doctor, fewer than 400 had formal training and certification from a university.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So Cal says that, that's a reason why to the ordinary people, the difference between a quack and a real doctor, you couldn't tell the difference between them.
Wow. Jesus. You still can't.
Right. And she says that, or Cal says that, that's probably the ignorance and desperation and hope and vanity allowed quacks to exploit the public's wariness of medical treatment by, soliciting testimonials from other patients. So that's where you get the quack saying like, oh, well, so many people have used this treatment, and how about you, good sir? In the audience, and they be up like, oh, I was completely bald, and
yes, right, the snake oil,
right. And actually, that guy was an interesting story. The snake oil salesman. There actually was a guy. What was his name? Last name was Stanley. And in the late 1890s, he was selling something which he claimed to be snake oil, which ended up just being like beef broth, pepper, and turpentine.
It's for a little kick.
Yeah.
Some turpentine.
Right. Clark Stanley was the guy's name. He was a cowboy, and he started selling it in like the 1890s. And he sold it for like 24 years before somebody like the new Food and Drug Administration, like 1916, finally like tested it and was like, "There's no snake oil in this. What are you talking about?" And he was sued for false labeling, and was fined $20 after all of that. That's all he was fined.
And then he turned it into lizard oil and kept selling it.
Right. The other thing that Lydia Kang talks about is tobacco enemas.
Oh, no.
Did you go through the enema stage with?
No, I almost did. I went in for a doctor checkup. All right. And he did the turning cough thing and was kind of examining me and went, there's a little, and I was like, what? And he's like, there's a little bump, nothing to worry about. Yeah. But there's a little bump on one of your testicles. Yeah. And don't worry. I just would like to get it checked out, get it, what do you call that? Sonogrammed.
Yeah.
And then I went to get it sonogrammed by this lady who her eyes were like shark eyes, just dead. She'd obviously sonogrammed like 10,000 testicles. And the results come in, and the doctor's like, I no worries. I'm going to send you to an oncologist. Okay. And so now I'm like, okay, of course a comedian would die of ball cancer. It's just so perfect. Yeah. And I'm like, yep, I've got cancer. And my business partner and my wife both got on the horn. By the time I got back, they had already ordered a coffee enema or something.
Oh no,
that was supposed to. And fortunately, I went to the oncologist and he examined it and right away went, "Nope, there's 0% chance that's cancer." And then the doctor pitched me a TV show.
Oh no, no, really?
A pretty good one.
Really?
A pretty good one. Yeah. Yeah. He's like, I know you're a writer. Yeah, what do you think about this? And he pitches me this show.
As you were,
but I was so happy I didn't have cancer. I was like, it's great. It was really good. But, you still have to write
what
it.
was the other one when you got when you went in when you were becoming Jewish and you went in
and they recircumcised me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. You had to get. I'd gone through everything, and the rabbi was like, "Well, John, why don't you just do the last thing and become then you're official." And I'm like, "You mean the circumcision?" And she's like, "Yeah." And so yes, you have to get. I was already circumcised.
Yeah,
but you have to get ritually circumcised. And when I heard about it, I was like, "Holy fuck! Absolutely, I'm doing this. This is the craziest fucking thing ever."
Yeah,
and I ended up in this bathroom of this Moyles house in the valley with my pants around my ankles and my junk on his counter, and he pricked it one prick and it didn't work. He had to do it again because you have to get a drop of blood. And then he said the Shekianu and then wrapped it up in gauze and tied it in a bow, which I thought was weird way to dress that wound.
That's a special hitch knot. A special hitch knot. The Moyles hitch knot. Is that a Moyles hitch?
The chipmunk comes out of the hole. He goes around the tree.
You should use that next time you go camping. Like, I'm using that Moyle hitch on this.
Yeah. Hang on. This is great.
And what did he pitch a TV show or something? Or what did he do?
He pitched me a show too. His son was directing a movie and he was saying, "Hey, you should give me your headshot and I'll get it to my son." And I'm thinking, oh my God, dude, just fucking get this over with. I don't want to be in your son's porn, And then I found out later. Right. And then I found out later it was an actual movie that I had auditioned for and failed, and I got a call back thanks to my Moyle.
That's so hilarious.
The Jews do control the entertainment industry,
but you got to get circumcised. You got to get ritually circumcised every time.
Circumcised, exactly.
If you want to get called back, you got to get ritually circumcised again.
Yeah. You ain't a Jew till we stab a needle in you. Otherwise, you look just like the Canaanites.
In the late 1800s, there were two brothers up in Wisconsin. They were twin brothers called Wallace and Willis Reinhardt.
Oh, boy.
And what the Reinhardts did, and this is from an article called Giving Them What They Want, the Reinhardts and Quack Medicine in Wisconsin. Eric and Janik and Matthew Jensen say that they published a book called The Private Medical Advisor. And they claimed that the book was written by America's greatest physician and the president of the famous Wisconsin Medical Institute. And which they ran the Medical Institute, the Wisconsin.
Right. When twins go bad, they go real bad.
Yeah. They just feed on each other.
They go off. Those gynecologists in England. Oh, God.
What was that movie?
Jeremy Irons.
Yeah. Played both of them.
Hell out of me. God.
And usually what they would do, they would just say that somebody had a sexual problem, no matter what it was. Like if you came in and were complaining about anything, it was always that your sexual energy was down.
You know what you need to do is suck dick. It'll clear it, right? Seriously?
Really, doctor?
Yeah. It sounds crazy.
Trust me, you'll feel better. We all will. Let me fill out a prescription for you. And then when they were being investigated for sending information about sexual diseases through the mail, What the brothers said, according to Janek and Jensen, was that they said they were just giving people what they wanted, a cure for what ailed them, no matter what the symptom or its true cause. So,
Jesus. I don't know. If I went to a doctor and it was a twins running it, I'd be freaked out.
No.
I wouldn't go. I'd just be like, you know what? I just can't handle it. It's nothing against you. I'm sure you're fine, but it just freaks me out.
Did you ever want a twin? Did you ever think that, hey, I'd love to have somebody just like me?
I absorbed one. I have 3 nipples. But
do you still feel it? Do you still sense his presence?
Yeah. There's a couple of teeth that grow out of my neck. I just shave them off.
Oh, that was the littlest Lehr. The littlest Lehr, they called him.
Talented, though. He could do Shakespeare. Oh, my God.
Yeah, he actually... He gets cast. He gets cast, not you.
We want the neck.
What? His voice, his deep booming voice. For some reason he speaks with an accent. For an English accent. You don't know where it came from.
He went to RADA. I went to RADA.
They Janek and Jensen say that, now it's the medical profession was is very well regulated. But back in like the early 1900s, you could just pay to get a diploma saying you were a doctor. And at the Wisconsin Eclectic Medical College in Milwaukee, they sold medical diplomas for $35.
Wow.
And what Janek and Jensen say, the owner, Fred Rutland, advised graduates to only practice in states like Wisconsin that had no licensing exams.
Jesus. God. Jesus.
Yeah. It makes sense. God. At least he's helping people.
What a way to make a buck. You just got to be completely black and heartless to prey on people. Oh, my God.
And then at the Milwaukee College of Physicians, Janek and Jensen say applicants could obtain a medical doctor license in under 10 hours. So you'd walk in at 7 a.m., you heard lectures, studied, and passed an exam, and walked out with a diploma in hand by nightfall.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Do you break for lunch?
Yeah. I don't know. For the money, I would hope they would. Yeah.
Yeah, you've got an infection, but I was going to the bathroom when they taught us that. I'm sorry.
So what were some of the other quack medicines? We've talked about bleeding already, which they called it heroic medicine because of what you'd have to go through as the patient,
God.
Yeah.
That's some good branding.
In the 1900s, early 1900s, fasting was popular. And there was a woman named Linda Hazard who ran a sanatorium in Washington, Olalla, Washington. And the locals all called it Starvation Heights.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. And Hazard, what she would say, according to Kang and Peterson, Hazard said the toxins were the cause of all illness and had to be removed by fasting. Yeah. And the rumor was that they would give enemas that lasted for hours.
Oh.
And diets of nothing but tomato, asparagus, and orange juice. And 14 of her...
Yeah. I can live on that.
Well, 14,
no protein.
14 of her patients died. They starved to death, obviously.
Yeah. Well, no protein.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus.
And Hazard was tried for manslaughter, and she was sentenced to only 2 years in prison. It was supposed to be 2 to 20, but she only served 2 years. And then eventually got a pardon out of it.
She gave the judge a free enema. But with a name like Hazard, you think some questions would go up.
Dr. Hazard. She eventually, in 1938, she herself starved to death while she was treating herself.
Oh, my God. So, what a way to go. That's got to be one of the worst, I think.
Yeah. Especially when it's not, I mean, I could see like it for a political reason or something, like you're on a fast, but to do it yourself when you could start eating at any point, I think is awful. Or to think that you're somebody telling you're getting better when you're doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. And preying upon, I'm sure, on people's eating disorders and, oh man.
Yeah. And then Peterson and Kang also talk about ingesting mercury.
Oh boy, that's poison, right?
Right. But there was something, people thought that it's the only metal that's liquid at room temperature. And so it always had this magical quality about it.
It is cool.
Yeah.
I've held it in my hand. I've played with it.
Like when you break a thermometer or something and you play with
his dad, Scott Freiberg's dad, had a vial of it, and we would go up and just dump it onto our hands and roll it around in our hands.
Yeah, it's
I'll probably die of it.
It's very cool, but people thought that there were, again, magical properties of it. The father of modern, or not modern, but the first Chinese emperor, who was Qin Shi Huang in 246 BCE, he had his doctors create mercury pills because again, they thought that it provided long life, that mercury would last forever. And
turns out
it's the opposite. I know, he died of mercury poisoning.
Wow.
And he's supposed to be buried. He's the one that's in that this huge underground tomb, they think, and the legend has it that he had mercury rivers running through it.
No, God.
Yeah. And they're afraid to excavate it because of how toxic the mercury would be.
Yeah, how much mercury's down there. God.
And then even Abraham Lincoln, when he was young, he suffered from depression and mood swings, and he was given mercury pills. And they say, fortunately, after a while, he began to realize that he was slowly being poisoned by it before he went into the White House. But he was taking mercury.
My God.
Yeah. And then finally, Kang and Peterson talk about breatharianism.
What?
Breatharianism. And it's the belief that human life can be exclusively maintained by cultivating prana, which is a universal life force found in all living things. And what breatharians see is sunlight and air as a substitute for eating.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
And Wiley Brooks was a guy who is the founder of the Breatharian Institute of America.
Breatharian.
And he claimed that humans only needed sunlight and air, and that he only ate when he didn't have enough sunlight.
Yeah. At nighttime.
Yeah.
When he's hungry as hell.
Right. Well, that's what
Breatharian would be a great name for a football team or something.
The Breatharians?
Welcome, the Oklahoma City Breatharians.
I know. And there's still people who do it. In a GQ article in 2017, Brina Kerr talked about breatharians. She went out and interviewed a bunch of breatharians. But she said that Wiley Brooks, the leader of the Breatharian Institute, he got in trouble with his followers when they spotted him grabbing takeout from a 7-Eleven. And since then, she says he's kind of gone off the rails to claim that McDonald's double quarter pounders are the best and only food to eat because they're not radioactive. And then somehow he also claimed that Diet Coke, which contains aspartame or aspartame, was actually liquid light. So therefore he could drink that.
I believe that. I love me a Diet Coke.
Do you really? I've never gotten
fantastic.
into it. And then finally, Kang and Peterson say that the master cleanse is the detox du jour, and that's the one where you're supposed to drink lemon water and maple syrup and cayenne pepper.
Cayenne pepper, always the cayenne pepper.
Yeah.
Give it a little kick.
And
ring of
that
fire.
When they say again, it's just another one of these cleansing quackery. In the 1980s, a guy was prescribed the master cleanse and he died. A guy with cancer died from trying to just do it for 30 days. So,
well, I got to get some kind of cleanse because this last colonoscopy is going to be my last.
Oh, no.
I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know why they can't see in there. Isn't that their fault? Shouldn't they figure it out?
Are you really doing the cleanse all the way? Or are you?
Yes. I'm as obsessive compulsive as you are. Of course I am.
Yeah.
I'm doing every single thing they tell me to do.
So what are they? Did they see anything this time, or did they?
They said it still wasn't great to see, but I have they haven't said anything about whether they cut a thing off and whether they're going to look at. I have to go back in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I wonder. Do you always go to the same colonoscopist, or maybe you should go somewhere else and try? Maybe maybe their camera's dirty.
Yeah. Well, maybe I should get a colonic. I've never had a colonic. Ooh. It sounds horrid. Have you ever done it?
No. That's something I haven't done. I haven't done the enemas.
That's water going in, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think I would like that one tiny bit.
Is that the one where both ends they go into?
Oh, God.
I seem to remember in Chicago there were a lot of people that went through a phase where they were all getting high colonics.
What's a high colonic?
I think that's when they put something in through the top, through your mouth, and through the bottom. So it's trying to
just squirting you from both ends.
Yeah, trying to really clean you out.
Okay, I'm not doing that. I'm not getting that.
So anyway, in the wrapping up here, in the Cambridge History of Medicine, Roy Porter says that never have people in the West lived so long or been so healthy, and never have medical achievements been so great. Yet paradoxically, rarely has medicine drawn such intense doubts and disapprovals as today.
Yeah. Everything's better, but we created this network of communication, and now nothing's real and everything's fake, and it's gonna take us out. Our stupid brains.
Yeah, he says, ironically, and this is his quote, ironically, the healthier Western society becomes, the more medicine it craves.
Yes. It's like an addiction.
Yeah. And he says, especially in the USA, where he's a British writer, where a free market operates, intense pressures are created by the medical profession, meta businesses, the media, and compliant individuals to expand the diagnosis of treatable illnesses.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then he says that the problem is that faced with a healthier population of its own creation, medicine is driven to medicating normal life events such as menopause, and to converting risk into diseases, and to treating trivial complaints with fancy procedures. Yeah.
I hear all that, but at the same time, we got the COVID vaccine so fast. So
right. Yeah, I don't know. Basically, what all of this is trying to say is for most of our history, we didn't expect much out of medicine.
Yeah. And now we expect everything.
Right.
Yeah.
And you go in and you want them to fix everything. And I think deep down there's probably that idea of, I want you to fix it so that I'm happy. I think there's an emotional aspect of health.
It's all about being happy.
Yeah.
And that's when they prescribe the opiates.
Right.
And that makes you happy. But
you forget everything else.
There's a bit of downside.
Right. Exactly. So anyway, John, we've reached the end of our discussion of medicine and quackery.
Well done. Wonderful. This is human number 2 signing off.
And this is human number 1. Thank you so much for listening to anybody. A couple things real quick. If you have a topic or question that you think humanity should know about it, please send it along. Also, John, one of our listeners, Josh...
I know, you sent me a picture.
Has created some fan art for us.
That's like a Taylor Swift friendship bracelet.
I know, it is.
We could go to a Swiftie concert.
It is. It's a wonderful bracelet. It's beautiful. He's going to send along He gave us a human number 1, a human number 2, and then up until human number 10. And Mary said that we should send those out for people if we use your topic.
Oh, that's great.
That's a great idea. Send us along your address, and we will send you one of these as well. Also, our listener Josh will send along. He's going to send me his Etsy if you'd like to purchase one of these. And then also, you could be human number 1. This is a People's Republic here. You could be human number 1, human number 2, or whatever human number you want to be.
I'll sell human number 2 to the highest bidder.
No. We were a People's Republic. Now we've already got there. It's already fallen apart.
Guy got in there.
Yeah. But they're wonderful. I love them, and we'll send those out if we use your topic.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, and don't forget to check out Watson and Company socks. They'll make your feet feel better. So
I had my socks on the other day. They're so nice.
They're very soft.
Thank you, Watson.
Yes,
very soft. They fit so well with there's nothing like a pair of fresh, good socks.
Oh yeah, and they hang on to your ankles too. They don't fall down.
You could rock climb in those socks.
All right, thank you everybody. John, I love you. I hope we gave you some ideas for your colon and for COVID. Take care of yourself, everybody. Yeah. Go see your doctor and be healthy. We love you guys. Talk to you later.
Love you. Bye.